another episode of Boosted Rolls, a War Machine and Hordes podcast focused on EU meta, tournaments, and tactics. My name is Tomasz, and I play Infernals.
Hi guys, I'm Simon, and I stream on Twitch Monday to Thursday. Details will be in the episode description. And today we are joined by Christoph and Dominic, and apologies if that's not how you pronounce your names, to discuss the Baden Team Cup, which is, for those who don't know it, a German team tournament based near Stuttgart, and happened very recently. And of course, as they're speaking with us, they won it. So congratulations, gents, and say hello.
Thanks a lot. Hi, guys.
Marvellous. So, Dom, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into War Machine, and how long have you been playing?
I don't even know how long I've been playing War Machine. I got into it by a buddy from Germany. I was based in the Braunschweig Meta. It's called Timme. Basically, probably everybody knows Timme around the world. He pulled me into War Machine, I would say, 7-8 years ago. From then I got bigger and bigger. I just took a break after winning the WTC in 2017. Mm-hmm. Now I'm getting back on track.
Nice. And Christoph, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Christoph Scholl. Maybe some of you might know me as Zez. I'm a German WTC player living and working right now in Krakow, but I was visiting the German area for this team tournament.
Also indirectly with us, kind of, is the organiser, Andreas, who was kind enough to give me really quite detailed feedback. I got in touch with him because this is a tournament that I didn't really know very well myself, and obviously if we're going to host a show about it, I'd like to have some details and so on. So I got in touch with him, and he didn't just respond, he actually sent me a full Word document full of thoughts and feedback based on a few questions I'd given him. So a big shout out to him. Wonderful to have organisers that are so passionate about the game and passionate about growing their tournaments and communities. So again, thank you very much. I won't try and pronounce his second name. Maybe one of you could tell us what his second name is.
Andreas Tondorf.
There you go. I was going to murder that if I tried it. So speaking of the tournament, let's move on to some details then. So tell us a little bit about the tournament. Where was the venue? Like, what was the venue like? What type of building was it? How was the prize support? It was a team tournament, so obviously we want to hear about the format. Maybe we'll do that at the end. So venue, prize support, and the history of the tournament, maybe. Christoph, tell us a little bit.
Yeah. So in Germany, since I started in MK2 playing, we had as a really big team tournament the Heavy Metal Days in the heart of Germany in Oberhausen. And it happened that with some meta shifts and the lives of the organizers changed somehow, they got families and other stuff going on, the tournament disappeared. The organizers couldn't afford anymore the time to do it. And so in my previous, in our meta where I was studying and playing, so I know all the guys like Andreas quite well, they had the feeling that they cannot stand this. Like, they cannot stand Germany not having a nice, really big team tournament. And so the idea was born about the BTC. Mm-hmm. And this year we went into edition 3. So it's a really successful tournament series, and especially as the Heavy Metal Days were disappeared, people from all over Germany, from all important tournament matters, are joining to the WTC. And usually we were in another venue near Bruchsal in Pforzheim. The city is called Pforzheim, but it's probably no one of the audience will know the city except people coming from Germany. But this year, also for the possibility to grow the tournament, they decided to take it to the heart of Karlsruhe. And there we were in a really nice previous slaughter hall.
A slaughterhouse?
Yeah, exactly. Like
really?
A previous slaughterhouse, new vanished to event place.
Okay. That's got to be the weirdest conversion I've ever heard of. Right. Excellent. And you sent me some photos, and I have to say, it did. I'm very surprised it was a slaughterhouse, because it does look fantastic. Very.
It's completely refurbished.
Yeah. I was going to say very not modern. I don't want to say modern because it didn't seem modern. It seemed, as you said, like refurbished, but in an older style. Like it was still like cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and also you can. At the wall, sometimes see the remainings of the chains for the
for the hooks
pits to hang.
And do you get some bonus points for playing Pharaohs?
Unfortunately not, but a good idea.
Somebody should have played biggies. There's no excuse. All right, and Doma, maybe tell us a little bit about the prize support. I think I saw a photo of some red wine, but was there anything else going on?
What I would like to add to the venue is that it was very nice to play in. It has like very high ceilings, but it wasn't loud, so you had plenty of fresh air. And a good audience, which I find always important when playing a tournament.
Okay. So good audio, but like and air. Air is really important.
Yeah, plenty of air. So that was really good. And coming to prize support, we had massive prize support given out by a local German shop, the Fantasy Stronghold. We had lots of prizes for painting competitions, etc. And since the organizer loves to drink red wine, he's called Red Wine Andy. He always gives away a special bottle of red wine for the first 3 places, together with some branded glasses. So every one of the winning team has a branded glass stating first prize, blah, 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 and they can have the bottle of wine together. That's
kind of like a very cool localized tournament trophy, isn't it? Like something special. That's a very cultured approach, very cultured.
I think the last place got some liquor and liquor glasses. Just get over the last place. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, commiseration drinks.
Yeah.
You mentioned the venue and being tall ceilinged and air and so on and so forth. Did that cause any issues with sort of hearing announcements and stuff like that? If was the organizer, did they have a microphone, for example, or were they just shouting? Or
no, it was very well cultivated. We had a big screen showing the pairings. We had a good timetable communicated up front, and the German tournaments are run mostly online, so everybody can just check the pairings on their smartphone.
And what are you using for that? Is that D3 or T3?
No, it's called Tabletop TO. So it was very easy to follow the organizers. We had one announcement in the morning, basically, when everybody comes in, and because you did know the times, and they were always presented out. Everybody could listen or could not. I mean, if you're used to going to a tournament, there's nothing big to hear. Anyway,
sure.
You just need to know the pairings. There was a big screen showing the pairings, and everybody can look them up. So,
was there a round death clock?
Basically, if you ask me, I don't know how he did it, but it was such well structured that they didn't have to have any death clock.
That's great. I mean, I honestly, the thing is that the round death clock is usually aimed at me. I'm normally the person that gets to the end of that clock because I spend too much time chatting with my opponents at the start of the game, describing like any questions, this is how I do this is how and I end up just chatting and dicking about, and then we get to the end of the round and they're like, come on guys, come on. It's like, sorry, it's my fault, sorry. I know in Sweden they have to constantly kick my ass at the Battle of Lund because I'm always late with that shit.
I know about one case where some people were quite late, but they played into the lunch break, so
I think it's also due to the timetable of the tournament. We had 3 rounds run on Saturday and 2 rounds on Sunday. We started at like 9:30 in the morning, so you have plenty of time to cover 3 rounds, even if they would take 3 hours.
Okay.
There was no big problem.
So sort of good scheduling in advance and then good timekeeping on the day, and that combination led to a good tournament. That's great. All right, so I'm going to move on a little bit onto some of the feedback that I got from Andreas, from the organizer, and sort of basically bounce his feedback off you guys and see whether his thoughts mirror yours or not so much or whatever. So one thing is that he loved the location that you guys were at as well, so it seems like you already agree there. But he would like to try and build the network a little bit and build the following of that tournament in order to increase prize support and attendance. And he specifically mentioned that he'd like to have more international attendees. So first question is, how many non-German players were there?
0, I think.
So you're Polish these days, right?
Yeah,
so I think it's very limited. This might be due to the German tournaments are usually announced on the German website and in the German forums.
H5, yeah.
And so I think the vision internationally is kind of limited.
Okay. I should stress, by the way, for the listeners, that this was a 54-player tournament with 0 foreigners. That is at least by the metric of tournaments that I visit. Now, obviously, I'm one of the foreign players that generally attends, these tournaments. That is a very low number. The only tournament I can think of that had that kind of number was the Danish Masters. The first time I went there, I think I was the only, or maybe one of the only foreign players there. But it's normal to have more international players than that. Do you enjoy that sort of feeling of having really a proper German team tournament where the best German players are represented and where it feels a bit like a WTC boot camp? Or would you prefer if, a few Brits and a few Poles and the best Norwegians came over and fought against you? What are your feelings about that? We'll start with you, Christoph.
So in general, as you already pointed out quite well, everyone right now passionate about the game in Germany was at the BTC. But I have to say that I also would really appreciate if some foreigners would join, especially as, if you show on, because Andreas was also streaming on the stream, beating some well-known international players, let's say from the UK, Mark Wittenstar or something, it's also affecting your application for WTC quite well. So, I'm living now in Krakow, but I went there to play at the tournament, and just for taking the costs, etc., and the traveling and some holidays at work, you can see how big of a deal the tournament is in Germany, and everyone from Germany who thinks he's passionate about the game and the tournament scene was there. But also, I would personally appreciate if some foreigners would be there.
Okay. First of all, I'd just like to point out that you've just inflated Mark's ego so much that I think it's genuinely reached international health warning levels. It's going to be right up there with the coronavirus. Also, watch out for Mark's ego; it is coming for you.
So I will get my rematch, Mark, and this time your trident will not roll 9 shots. Jesus.
Well, that's because he'll be playing Infernals. But other than that, he's buying his wins now. Don't worry. All right, Dom. Same question to you. Exact same topic.
So I think everybody of us would be lying if they stated a tournament in your mother language, in your mother tongue, is not easy going and what you would like to have time to time.
Sure.
For me personally, I would rather have all the big guns in there, no matter which country they are based in, no matter how long the journey is. Bring everybody in, play the hardest games you can. I love to compete.
At the BTC specifically?
I don't care.
Don't care. Any tournament you'd take
any
the biggest
tournament, bring in the biggest guns, bring in the big players, because I think Europe is pretty small compared to other regions, and we have the freedom of traveling easily. So if anybody has the potential to go and the time, please. Everybody in Germany is willing to speak English. Everybody's willing to make every announcement in English, to communicate well. So that shouldn't be a problem.
You speak for yourself on the freedom of movement. My fucking country just decided we didn't fancy that. So I've got to wait about 3 more years before I can get Czech citizenship and become a European again. So thank you. That's pretty much what I was wondering about, and it kind of links into another thing. I was going to ask about it later, but let's do it now. So in my experience, German events do seem to be quite insulated. I've traveled a lot, and Tomasz, I know you have as well. Have you ever visited a German tournament in Germany?
Unfortunately, I've never been there for a tournament.
Yeah, and I've been there once. I was there for a WTC boot camp where because the captain of the Czech Republic was living not far from Germany, they invited him to come and he invited me, and so we were the only 2 non-Germans there again. And I think German events in general are not advertised very well outside of the German website, as you mentioned, and they're not even discussed that much. I don't hear them being mentioned when I was in the UK. They just don't know about them. It's not like they know about them and don't talk about them. It's just that they're not known. And do you have first of all, do you agree with me? Am I wrong? And second, do you have any idea why that might be, if you do agree? And we'll start with you, Dom.
I think I would agree. It's hard to judge for German to see how people see it from the outside, of course.
Oh, no, we want to see it from the inside. We know what it's like from the outside.
I think most organizers just run it through the common channels. They don't fancy putting in the extra work to get in foreigners, kind of.
And if the international players want to put in the extra work to sort of join your tournaments, what are those channels? If I, for example, want to come and compete in Germany, which websites do I need to know?
So the German forum is page5.de, where we also have an international area. But the website you find all the tournaments on, it's tabletopturniere.de, which is kind of a tournament organizing system for all tabletops in Germany.
Okay.
So it has 40K, it has Age of Sigmar, it has War Machine, it has Guild Ball. You find all the tournaments in there, and most organizers just pop out an event there, and people sign up on this page.
So if I as a British guy, for example, I want to come to Berlin and play a tournament, I can look on T3, find a tournament in Berlin, sign up, and then I can just drive over there and play, right? I don't need I don't need to use page 5 at all?
No.
Okay.
Page 5 is like the German Lorma Hordes. You can imagine it like this. There are discussions about lists, about the fluff, about painting. There's an event area where you can discuss about lists and like who will eat what at the tournament.
But I think the German channels of advertising a tournament are so streamlined, aligned, or old habits, however you want to call it, that people just pop up the tournament on T3 and that's it. I mean, if you go to a bigger convention like in Oslo or in Poland, they make their own website and advertise it via Twitter, Facebook, whatever. And then people just show over there.
Sure. And would you like it if that was done for German tournaments? Or
it depends. For the bigger tournaments, yes.
Yeah.
I think it would be good to pop up some Twitter links or whatever.
Yeah.
For the smaller ones, I don't think it's worth it, to be honest.
Yeah, you're wasting people's travel time.
Another downside is that we do not have that many big cons in Germany to attract people. I know some guys are trying to build up this con style again, but it was never that much of a thing in Germany.
Okay.
Maybe because the Germans do not want to spend the money for that. Maybe because of other reasons, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, the German WTC Villa was kind of that was following that sort of trend of living and playing in the same place, and that's been popular, isn't it? So maybe that could spread.
Sorry for interrupting you, but the WTC Villa is another topic, as this is mainly for the 3 WTC teams of Germany to prepare for the event. It's not a common event.
Oh, indeed. Sorry, I wasn't suggesting that it was like a con. I'm suggesting that it's the idea of combining living and playing in the same building for a number of days.
Which
and I'm saying
that's
that's
great.
like. Yeah, I think that's like a good starting point to build that mentality. Not that it's the same thing. Sorry, maybe I wasn't clear. My bad.
No worries. No, I think in general, a typical German War Machine player likes one tournament, a Masters, and nobody drops. And the tournament will be played from Saturday to Sunday, and then it's fun.
God, I've got to say I quite like that myself. No, I mean, I like the whole hotel thing, but I really do like just having a big-ass Masters that everybody plays and nobody drops. I'm a big fan of that. All right, so a couple more things from the organizer then, and just, again, your thoughts on it. He mentioned that the food was quite difficult to organize, and I think this year, did he go for some sort of vegetarian, vegan type option or something like that, with a room full of wargamers? Was it veggie only?
Veggie only.
With 54 wargamers. Right, how did that go?
Maybe I take... I jump in here right now. Because of the history of the tournament, as all of our audience probably know right now, Andreas is really, really passionate about the tournament and everything has to be perfect. And in the past, he was like, to even offer some Muslim or vegan attendees something to eat, he was cooking different things on the tournament day. And it was much of an effort, and especially as the system was previously that you have to buy it on the day. The calculation for the food was a mess. And this year he was just going with the approach, hey, you have some money in the starting price to start there. And from this pot, I will take some money for the food, and I will make something nice for everyone. And indeed, it was without any meat, but it was really, really nice. And everybody ate warm, and nobody was offended. And it was food fitting for everyone at the tournament, and it was really German Linsen.
No clue what that is.
So basically, the venue is located at an old butcher's areas. There's not a location only, but there are plenty of office buildings around it in the old site. There's a cafeteria next to it. There's a club next to it, so you can go partying at night even. And they asked the cafeteria next door to provide food. And initially, he proposed that we just go there for lunchtime. Yeah. We pre-order our food, and then we just eat it fresh at the cafeteria. But somehow plans changed, and they just served on Saturday like fresh noodles with some tomato soup, or like some pepped up tomato soup and Parmesan cheese, and a fresh big salad with bread and bread toppings. So that was basically Saturday lunch food. And on Sunday they made a mishmash of all the vegetables and cooked it in lentils and everything else.
Okay. And was that, like, I realized that you two clearly enjoyed it. Did you hear any sort of, oh God, I wish I had a steak, or like, was there any complaint about that? Or
I would have loved a steak too, but so I heard from some guys that they would have loved to have meat. So on Sunday there were organized some sausages just to put into the soup, kind of.
Okay, just to add something themselves, right?
Just to add it, but like, I would say 90%ish were super happy with the choices I had.
That's great. I mean, honestly, I was just really interested to hear, like, I hadn't heard, normally you sometimes offer a vegetarian option, sometimes you don't, and they're just, the vegetarian option is that you can fuck off. So it was really nice to hear about, a much more inclusive method, and it's just a bit of a surprise for me, so that's cool. Also, I asked him because I thought with 54 people, you could in fact organise a 5-man tournament, and especially if your aim was to grow the tournament, then a 5-man might make more sense, especially since, and he did say that he felt that it was such a passionate following of this tournament, and one of the reasons that the following was passionate is because it was an opportunity to show your worth, for the WTC, and so all of that made me think that maybe it should be a 5-man, but he disagreed, and he said that it should be a 3-man. For a couple of reasons. One, that he thinks it attracts more players overall, so it's easier to find 2 other players that you want to play with rather than trying to get 5. Also, it means that it's much easier to deal with, any solo players that are left over or any dropouts. It's much easier to replace one person than trying to find a full team of 5, etc., etc. And what was his other comment? Let me just find it 1 second. Oh, that was it. Yeah, that it makes it easier for travel because, a 3-man team can travel easily together in one car, whereas a 5-man team, especially if they live in different places, might be more difficult to organise. So, Dom, maybe start with you. Would you like to see it as a 5-man, or do you enjoy it as a 3-man?
I enjoy it as a 3-man tournament. I see the pros and cons of being at a 3-man and a 5-man as well. But let's be honest, WTC is not everything in a wargamer's life. It's a big event, which most top players work onto it. But most of the local metas, they are rather small. And if you get 3 guys from your area having the time at the same weekend, going to a tournament, I think it's great. I think it's easier. It even doesn't rely that much on list preparation and tactics as a 5-on-5 would do. It's more casual, I would say. And yeah, if you can say casual to a 3-man tournament.
Yeah, sure. No, but I understand what you mean, the atmosphere. And Christoph?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Thomas said. In addition, like I mentioned before, the tournament was born in the history of this previous event, Heavy Metal Days, and they were a 3-man tournament. And yeah, in general, I think if you look on it from a WTC player's perspective, there's not big of a difference because let's pick some 4 friends from WTC and kick some asses. But especially if you're not that connected into the competitive scene, you might struggle to find for other people. And team tournaments are mainly a thing about being together as a team and reaching something as a team. And of course, you can fill up teams, but there is no fun about playing with 4 strange people to you because there's no passion about your team. And, there were people with their own T-shirts, Try Hard Unicorns. They had unicorns bodybuilding on their T-shirts. And it's just about friends were coming together. It doesn't matter if they are competitive or if they are more casual, and they went to the tournament. And also because of the pairing system in 3-man tournament is way more easy to access, I think it's the good to go system here. But also we had formats like the Eisenhammer in Germany, run by Sascha Meisel, Dr. Kellermann, which were also such successful, and Mark Wittenstor was attending there.
They were 5-on-5.
Yeah,
they were more WTC style. I think it really comes down on what you want to have. Do you want to prepare yourself and probably your WTC team in the second half of the year for this upcoming event? Then you would go for 5-on-5. If you just want to have fun playing, why not go for 3-on-3?
Okay, cool. Tomasz, what are your thoughts? Do you prefer 3-mans or do you prefer 5-mans that more emulate the WTC style?
Well, I think I'm in the same boat as Christoph and Dominic, that I much prefer 3-man team tournaments early in the season and 5-man team tournaments late in the season, so closer to WTC. And it's pretty much for the same reasons. It's just much easier to form a 3-man team, so it will gather more people. It will attract both casual and competitive players. And also, what I'm not sure was mentioned is how much easier it is to prepare for a 3-man team tournament. Like, you can actually go there without any preparation and do well. And in 5-man, I'm not sure if it's possible because the system is much more complicated. For example, in WTC, you need to submit your list like a month in advance. And I think they are posted like shortly after. So you have a long time to prepare. You can analyze the strongest team. You can form some kind of tactics. A lot of teams have some kind of app to help them out. So it would be really difficult to just go to a 5-man tournament and not feel lost. Some casual teams just wouldn't know what's going on. And also, like, late in the season, you can practice together with your WTC team, but early in the season, there just isn't one. Like in Poland, we choose our teams around May. So until May, you don't know who's going to be in which WTC team. So you cannot really practice together unless you want to just guess who's going to be there.
I think I'm maybe in the odd section, is that I would always prefer a 5v5. Always. If I thought I could get the players for it, I would always take a 5-on-5 format because I just love it to death. I just think it's the most competitive. It's the most, like, it mimics the best tournament of the year. It's good practice for that. It's rare, so I don't get to play it very often. And so when I got the chance, I absolutely loved it. I don't know. But it seems like everybody else disagrees with me. So it'd be interesting to hear from the viewers.
No, we're not disagreeing. It's just nice to have another opinion here.
No, indeed. And yeah, go on.
5-on-5 is just harder to organize and to get to. I mean, how many 5-on-5 team tournaments are there in Europe over the year?
Not that many, and that's why I love them so much,
maybe?
and I wish there were more.
Yeah, if I have a 5-on-5 and a 3-on-3, which are fully loaded at the same weekend, and there's one spot left in both, I would probably go for 5-on-5. But that's so rare.
Yeah, so
I really
unusual.
enjoy playing 3-on-3 because your game counts even more. It's not 20% of the whole result, but 1/3.
Oh, I love 3-on-3s, don't get me wrong. But I just 5-on-5 for me is something special, and I think if I've got the choice, I'll always take it. But it sounds like you might as well, so maybe I've misinterpreted. But yeah, anyway, so that was just a comment that came from Andreas that he was definitely planning on keeping it as a 3-man for the foreseeable future. Definitely planning on building it and trying to become a bit more international. Speaking of which, how should we make it more international? Is just, putting a post on Twitter enough, or do we need to do something else? I mean, this kind of episode helps.
Yeah, but I think you need to directly approach like the leading players in certain countries, proposing them, hey, you can fly to here. You can then take this train and we'll pick you up. We'll help you organizing a hotel or whatever. I mean, booking a hotel, everybody should be able of doing.
Sure.
But just show up. It's pretty easy to get there. Because if I look for international events, for me, it's always hard to get there. And probably I would want to have a time schedule up front so I can see if I can come back home on Sunday, or if I need to take a Monday off. This is, I think, for me as a traveler, the most important part. To have a clear schedule up front,
So have an offer to, first of all, an invitation to a tournament. I think everybody likes to feel invited. And second is to offer travel help, basically. Fair enough. No, that's a good call. Tomasz, like, you travel probably the most out of any of us. What would you want to get? Anything more than that, or just an invitation and some travel help?
Well, the invitation is nice when the tournament is not this big open convention, but it has more of a national masters feeling. It's nice to feel invited. It's nice to feel welcome in a tournament like that. And also the help with the travel, it's big. Like if someone offers me that they can pick me up from airport, or if someone just has the patience to explain what public transport to choose, which ones to avoid, what are the cheapest options, what are the fastest options, how big is the airport, how long will it take me to get from the airport to the tournament, things like that. Also, for people from abroad, it's much more expensive to go to a tournament. So if tournament organizer can find some alternatives to the hotel where the tournament is, or maybe can contact the people that are coming from abroad so they can book an Airbnb together, that's really nice. They can budget their stay, and that makes it easier. And of course, some people in the community are nice enough to offer a place to stay in their homes for free for people from abroad, which is extremely nice, and it's a big incentive to come to a tournament. And that brings me to another point, which I think is very important, which is the exchange between players. So, for example, if I invite people from abroad to a tournament in Poland, I will try to attend tournaments in those people's countries as well, or at least make an effort to be there. So that way you both support each other's meta and you can help each other's out with all those things I've mentioned previously.
Right, you get this sort of reciprocal approach to meta building, and I suppose what we're saying is that you're adding. So yes, approach leading figures from foreign metas, and invite them and give them some travel help, but also approach leading figures to your meta who actually travel abroad. So maybe, using Germany as an example, you could get in touch with the leading German players that tend to travel for tournaments a lot and say to them, look, these are the tournaments that are coming up, please spread the word, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Cool. So there we go. That's that covered. Right, moving on to, has anyone got anything else that they wanted to add about tournament, prize support, anything about that before we move on?
Well, I'm interested in German tournaments, the bigger ones. I think you, Dominic, said that some players are trying to work to make those more like convention-style events in Germany. What are they?
So basically, we run, I think, 3 cons this year. One was or is in Berlin. They are all organized by one guy mostly, which is called Lützi. He's from Bremen, up in the north from Germany.
Is he the massive guy? Like...
No, not the super massive guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's one in Berlin.
It's a weird discussion about War Machine players if you start talking about massiveness.
But one of these cons was in Berlin. It was called Capital Con, which was a 3-day event. One of these cons will be in Düsseldorf, actually, in just 1 month's time. So start of March. Also a 3-day event, and then one I think is in July, roughly, in Hamburg. So all of these cons are located near a very big airport, so they should be easy to get to. But they are just running their first or second iteration, so I think they are not that well known these days.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
But if anybody wants any information, just feel free to pop us a note on wherever, and we're happy to guide.
Sounds good. So moving on, we get to the format. So this was something that really interested me, and something that when you approached us about doing an episode on the event, it was one thing that I really sort of pushed me to do it, is the idea of a team format that I simply hadn't seen before, namely the scenarios and stuff like that. So maybe, Christoph, can you take us through what was the format for this event?
So I think since I was playing War Machine and I started in MK2, I didn't know any other format. So in Germany, it's the common 3-man tournament format. I don't even think we have a name for it. It was just the HMDs, Heavy Metal Days concept of pairing. So in general, you have 3 tables, of course, with 3 different scenarios on them. And then you roll off randomly, like 1, 2, 3, we are pairing here, 1, 2, 3, we are pairing on the opposite, on the outside tables. And with this roll-off, you decide where you are pairing first. And then you are dropping a person. Yeah, and you can figure it out, like the person you dropped, you can protect this person, as like both teams will drop their people. And then you will get, so I drop me as circler, and then I get and the opponents will drop one, let's say Manov, and then I will get Kriegs and Signa to my hand, and we will give my teammates to them. Okay. Then I have 2 cards, and I can decide what do I want to play. So I drop it down.
So you get a dodge, basically. Whoever you put forward first gets a dodge.
If he wants to, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then, I take Kriegs, I put Signa to the mid, nobody sees it from the other side, and then they pick someone of us and drop the other to the mid.
So you know that the 2 players put forward, the 2 players that are originally put forward, cannot play on table 2.
So basically, you pair up one on each team on the outer tables in a 3-man row.
So therefore, those 2 players can never... So if you want a dodge, you cannot play on the middle table.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
So the thing is, the tables are preset, which makes the tournament run smoother. You don't have to change scenarios every round. You don't have to call a judge to figure out where to place the building, which is suddenly in the middle of the flag, etc., etc. So you set up all the tables on Friday evening, and then you just keep playing in the rows. And the rows differ, basically. So row 1, with all the tables, has some scenarios on it. And of course, it can happen that you play on the same tables again.
I was just about to ask about that.
Round. It can happen.
That's quite a large advantage.
Yeah, but it's random. I mean, you don't know it in advance.
True, but it's a random advantage, right?
It is.
Okay.
But you could also say, in a team tournament, I built a team which is good on slow scenarios. Because I take into account that maybe the fast scenarios don't happen in a 4-round event. Mm-hmm. Is that an advantage? Yeah, a random advantage.
Interesting. Yep. Okay. I like that.
So I think it's very easy to run, and it avoids communication or complaints about scenario setting and
sure,
etc. So that's also what helps to cut down the number of judges.
Nice. Yeah.
You simply don't need them.
It was mentioned that there were only 2 judges. Yeah, I was a little bit like I was thinking, is that enough? But if you don't need them, then
no, you don't need them to, because I think on other events I attend, a lot of the judge calls are in the first 10 minutes. Can you measure this? Can you measure that? Can you set up the table? Is that okay? Etc. etc.
Yeah.
And the pairing method, as Christoph described, is a lot of anticipating what your opponent puts up or doesn't. It's a bit more random than the WTC style, where you can get out of a bad matchup while picking the table. Mm-hmm. But since it's 3v3, your list should be more well-rounded anyway.
Sure.
We have just some nice interactions. Let's say there is a scenario bunkers. And of course, my team is pairing there first. So now I look at the opponent's list and they have scored. And I don't have a blighter with me, and so I would like to dodge Scorn. So the obvious pairing would be drop Christoph on bunkers, and he can dodge Scorn. But now the mind game starts. What if the other people will think, hey, they will drop, first of all, Christoph. He wants a good matchup. They will pair him first. Then it's bunkers, a nice trigger scenario. And third, we have Scorn, and he wants to dodge Scorn anyway. So probably they will pair Christoph first. And we are thinking of it, analyzing what their mind game is, and not pairing me first. And then I go into the C. Yeah, they can drop, and our guy who was paired first, not me, can pick out Manov for me. And then we got a nice matchup for the Manov, the Scorn. Sorry, we drop a guy, he picks out Scorn for me, and so I cannot play Scorn in the mid. And of course, they didn't pair Scorn first because they didn't anticipate what we will do.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a big part of team tournaments, isn't it? It's a good part.
Yeah, I was about to ask, because in 3-man team tournament, I really like this dynamic that the team that wins the roll-off can choose the better table, but the team that loses the roll-off can predict who the other team put on the table based on the terrain and adjust their choice to that.
But the roll-off is random.
So in this format, you don't have a dedicated roll-off. Both teams pair their first player up at the same time, face down. So once you reveal the player you pair up, the other team reveals their paired up player as well, because they pair up on, let's say, table 1.
Oh, it's the mirrored reveal.
Right, and we pair up on table 3. So you have a simultaneous pair up, kind of, and then both teams get handed the leftovers, more or less. And then your pair can pick one.
How do you know which table do you play?
You just do it random. There's an official version which says Team A in the pairing. Let's say Team A plays against Team B. And Team A will always be on the left side of the table, and Team B will always be on the right side of the table. And so you're allocated a table. The more common way to do is...
Do you know that in advance?
You know it when the round pops up.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. The more official version is you just flip a coin and say, okay, on heads we are left, on tail you're right, more or less.
Okay.
So this way it should be pretty easy to predict who the opposing team is going to put on the table first based on the terrain and the scenario that's there?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it is.
And that's why it's good not to pair the Krueger on the bunkers, because they were predicted.
I mean, you never know. It's a mind game. Even if you say you're not pairing up Krueger, maybe they say, okay, they think that we think, so we do it differently.
Yeah, double bluff.
No, you are right, but the one factor you have to think about in this is most people are not that prepared so far in the pairing process.
Here's another thing to consider, though. Krueger 2 is that good on bunkers that you should have just done it anyway. Like, fuck whether they know about it. Like, yeah, you know about it, and what?
I mean, it's a different style of just determining the pairings. The WTC style has also its pros and cons. We went into WTC matchup where we said, okay, we need to win the starting roll to pick tables. Otherwise, we are screwed, or we need to get the pairings.
We pick tables every single time without fail.
Every system will have some kind of randomness in it.
Oh, for sure.
I see the pros and cons of both. For 3v3, I think this style is better that we did at this tournament. For 5v5, I would go with the WTC pairing.
I don't know. So, like, it's an interesting thing. So you mentioned, Christoph mentioned that you only basically see this. We'll call this the dodge format. So this gives you a player that's allowed to dodge. And the other format that's often discussed within the context of three-man tournaments is the challenger format, which is basically where you have to put someone forward who doesn't get to dodge. The opponents get to choose that first matchup, and that means that person you put forward should be able to handle 2 out of the 3 opposing, preferably 3 out of 3 of the opposing players. And so you've got the dodge format and the challenge format. And I really see the benefits of both. I enjoy both very much. I think they're very different, but I really like both of them. Tomasz, do you have a favorite?
Well, I think the outcome of both of them is the same if both teams know what they are doing. But I enjoy Dodger a bit more just because it's more intuitive. Not because it's better. No, you can get used to both of them. You just need to get into proper mindset, how they work. But I prefer Dodger because it's just a bit more intuitive.
Sure. I mean, the thing for me that I found the most interesting about this format was not the fact that it was a 3-man Dodger tournament. Like that's fairly standard. But it was the idea of having the scenarios different in the same team tournament. So I have never once in a team tournament had to think about, would you like to play spread the net or would you like to play bunkers? It's always been, would you like to play bunkers on this table or on that table, or against this guy or against that guy? And the idea of having different scenarios in the same team row is, in my opinion, just fantastic. I love the scenario element of the game. I love the different things that the steamroller packets bring. And I really, really, really want to see that format spread.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to play it. It's not something that I would like to play on every 3-man team tournament, but I like variety, and I think it also opens your mind for some new tactics, and it's very interesting. For example, if you have a Kalos 1 player, having spread the net is a huge advantage. So it can also change a meta a bit, because you can take things that are good on like certain scenarios and try to get those scenarios. So I really like that. I would also, I think myself, I would like to have the roll-off. I haven't tried, so it's just uneducated guess, but I would like to have roll-off to have a bit more control over which table do you choose. Maybe even that you can choose between all of the 3 tables, not only between first and third, but that makes the format just a bit different. So
a little more complicated to explain at the start, you know.
Yeah.
I think people kind of get the idea with the middle table, it kind of works. I played a very similar style in Austria one time when I was playing in Klagenfurt, but without the differing scenarios on the table. So yeah, I love it. It almost made me like want to go and organise a tournament in Brno again, despite the fact that I forgot briefly that I don't have a meta. And I was like, yeah, I want to do it. I want to get a tournament. I want to do that style. So very innovative and great fun. Love to see new stuff in tournaments. Please keep trying stuff like this out and spread the word. If you're a tournament organizer, consider this. I think it would be a really cool thing to do. Right, we are running out of time, so let's move on to what was the faction spread. So were you seeing stuff that you consider to be completely meta, or were some people bringing some really off meta stuff? I had a quick look at the stats and I noticed one Grimkin. One?
There are not a lot of top-level Grimkin players in Germany, so I'm not that surprised. Germany is really scorn-heavy since 2017, I guess.
Since the turtle, basically?
Yeah, since the turtle.
Okay, yeah. And was there any, like, Scorn was so what are we talking about? I mean, let me have a look at the numbers. So I'm seeing 9 Scorn, that's the top represented. And after that comes Circle and Crix, not massive. Crix is a little bit high, is that?
I think it's good in a team tournament where you can put up your Scar and just dodge the matchups you want to avoid. I think in team tournaments, you're not looking for something that can cover everything. But if you can cover everything but 1 or 2 factions, you're pretty good in this format.
Yeah, if you ask me about the lists, I have to say, especially as 1 week before Tomasz and me played the Polish team championships, the lists in Germany are way more conservative. So you have your Sky, you have your Rashid, you have your Krugers, you have the standard badass motherfucker lists. Like, if you play in Poland, you are in the finals, and at some point, Tutaj shows you his Anson Durst. That's different.
You say that, but I'm looking at your Scorn lists here, and you've got 3 Zaal 2s out of 9 players.
Yeah, but
what are you madmen doing?
And you have to understand the German metaphor. There are quite many Mordecai's, and they try to counter the Zaal.
I will lead them back to Zaal 2. No.
I mean, Zaal 2 is just such a brainlessly good caster.
It depends. It really depends. Are you expecting a lot of anti-tech because Zaal 2 rougher stomped everything in the last year?
Yes, I am, and I expect him to continue doing it. Yes. It's still winning everywhere else, like maybe Germany are odd. Let's have a quick look at the Circle. What Circle got? A shitload of Krueger, some Balder. Yeah, that's much more like what I would expect to see. What the hell is going on in Legion?
We won't have a Legion discussion now, Simon, please.
I'm having a Legion discussion. There's only one Primal Terrors list. What the hell is going on? We've got Ravens of War is the top theme. Right, we need to have words. I bet Nox was involved in this. Was Nox there?
Yeah, but he was playing Signer.
Okay, well, in which case I won't blame him for this specifically, but I will blame him at some point. Right. Okay, and one quick thing to mention. Basically everywhere else in the world, Infernals are picking up everywhere. They're just popping off and winning everything. You only had 2 Infernals at the event. Thoughts on that?
I think I know of some people who still didn't get their miniatures in.
Yeah, they are waiting.
They didn't receive it from the suppliers. As they
was
were
it fully painted?
No, it was not. Painted? But they didn't even were able to buy the single miniatures.
Yo-Yo was fully painted. I played on stream against
Yo-Yo was fully painted. So we had 2 Infernal players. They were both fully painted. But I know of some people who didn't order it in the first wave. They are struggling to get miniatures.
And Yo-Yo also, we have some German players, Benjamin Fitzi right now in America. And Yo-Yo ordered much stuff from him.
Right. Okay.
That's the reason why he has it.
But it's hard to get them via German resellers. So.
Right. Okay, so it's just a reach thing rather than a decision. Okay, fair enough.
If your Scorn Turtle is painted and you wait for Infernals, what do you play? Huh?
Fair enough, you get Rasheth out. So let's move on then to how your team was put together. How do you two guys know each other? How did you...
I have a long story for it. It's nice.
Give us the short version.
Long story short.
Yeah. No, this year
so
I have to take my time.
Long story short is Christoph asked me. And we asked another guy, he got sick a week before the tournament, and we got a jumper in as a replacement. That's long story short.
And incidentally, that's why the jumper is not with us this evening. He did offer to come on if we had any questions for him and this, that, and the other, but then due to some time restraints and work commitments and so on, it just didn't happen. So we've only got 2 of the 3 with us this evening, but he's in our hearts. I don't even know his name. What's his name?
Wolfgang.
There you go.
Best jumper in the world.
There you go. So that brings us to faction spread.
You don't want to hear my
spread?
heartbreaking story, right?
I do not. What was the faction spread of your team?
The audience. Well, okay.
So basically, the faction spread of the team.
Right.
Faction spread was very clear that Christoph would play Circle.
Okay.
And that he wants to dodge Scholl.
Sure.
So we were looking for 2 factions who can cover this. I offered to play Grimkin because I played them the last time, or step back to my old comfortable sneakers, which will always fit, and play Scorn as well, and just outskill the other Scorn players.
Sure.
And then we were looking for another player in our team. Basically, it was Mickey Wiggles from Munich, and he had to offer.
Did you just say his name was Mickey Wiggles?
Yeah, Mickey Wiggles.
That's an amazing name. My God.
It's not his real name.
I guessed that.
Everybody knows him from. So he offered to play Retribution, Mercenaries, Menot. We felt like we could outpower most people by just playing Gary too.
Okay. So you had.
Retribution.
So in the end, we ended up with him with Retribution playing Gary 2 and presumably popping Assyria, thank you, as the pair, and then yourself playing your comfortable old sneakers and jumping into Scorn and outskilling the other Scorns, and Zaz on Circle. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And what was your, for the sake of argument, what was your Scorn pairing?
Rashid and Zaal 2.
Fine. Okay. And Zaz, you had Krueger 2 and
Chromic, like we discussed in the last episode.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And how did you? So that was your plan, and obviously you won the tournament, so it went rather well. But when you were going through the team pairing processes, did it go as you expected, or did you have some hurdles that you had to sort of jump over and some problems to overcome?
One thing was that, so we were quite well prepared. We had a sheet for every, which covered the main scenarios against the top teams, where we thought like we should be prepared. And one thing was that Wolfgang as a substitute was more humble, and we went again for the green, yellow, red thing, what we explained last time to guess matchups. He was because of some lack of knowledge. We had to change the list, and also we had to adjust the list to the tables. And actually in round 1 it happened. The problem was that I had a yellow matchup against the Scar. I played it many times and I was confident to win it, but we pair on King of the Hill, and Krueger doesn't like to stretch and Scar loves it, and this were some adjustments we had to do to our list.
Scar loves to stretch. You heard it here first.
I think the major weaknesses of our compositions were indeed Menot and the Scorn mirror.
Yeah, exactly.
So because into Scorn we can just offer Gary 2, but if the Scorn list is tweaked and they know how to play it, it's probably 50-50. I can offer a Scorn mirror 50-50, and we have a dodge. So we get 2 yellows and a red, which is never something you really want to go into.
Not ideal, no.
Yeah, and something very similar for Menot, even with the new Flames list. We had similar scenarios. So we knew if we face a team with Menot and Scorn, we are probably in trouble. But
you're going to have to skill some matchups.
Yeah.
When you say new Flames list from Menot, what do you mean?
I don't know. Is it Flame?
The Warrior of the Old Fate?
Various of the Old Fate, yeah, right.
Menoth Light.
Yeah. So we didn't face one of these teams.
Okay, so you didn't have to deal with it.
Yeah, it was not in the matrix anyway. There was, I think, no team with Menot and Scorn, or with the list compositions that would make trouble. Because if they put a nice Menot in for us, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
We had a lot of 50-50s. We did lack some expertise into the side factions, like I guess even into minions and mercenaries, which have huge options these days. It's hard to judge if you don't play them often.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. All right. So Anything anyone wants to cover before we get into the battle reports section? So I'm pretty much done with questions at this stage, but has anyone got anything else they wanted to quickly say?
I would like to ask about those minions list. Do you had something crazy like Helga 1 or Maylok, the new Maylok?
Oh, no, we had...
Maylok was in the finals. Robin played.
Yeah.
But
I think,
besides Rask, and obviously he always wanted to play Rask and just scare people with Maylok.
I'm just checking the stats, but yeah, it was Rask 1 3 times, or almost all the lists were will work for food, just crap loads of Gators, Wrestlers, Primal Archons and Void Archons, 9 Void Archons. Void Archons were seeing a lot of love. Some mad bastard was playing Arcadius.
Oh, so there were pharaohs.
Yeah,
right.
He's genuinely done it. So someone was playing piggies, kind of. Piggies in the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, most of the outcome are Rask, and because you added so many solos and so many levels of threat to that list, give repo to this or that unit, it changed a lot. I mean, even putting in a Void Archon, which can clear single targets, which was a weakness of Rask in the past, it's pretty good.
Fair enough. All right, so we'll move on then to the battle reports section. One thing that I'd quite like to do is if you... just before we start, 18 teams, quick maths, was this 4 rounds or did it get to 5?
5.
It got to 5. All right, fine. So... if we do like five battle reports each, that's 10. That's quite a while. So what I'd like to do is focus in on and spend a bit more time on the ones that you think were really worthwhile. So maybe think about from those 5 games, which isn't any, we're not saying anything negative about the rest of your opponents, but just if you had 1 or 2 from those games that were particularly good, then we'll focus a bit of time on those. And on the other ones, just give us a recap. This happened, this was the matchup, this is how it played out, and that was expected or not, So just so that we can keep things moving. So we're going to just go round by round. Let's jump into round 1. Who was your opponent? What was their team? And who did you end up individually playing against?
Yeah, so we were playing against, their name was called, the team name Luba Luba. It's Imo. He won last year's WTC Solo Masters. It's a really experienced Scar player. They had an ambitious player called Brendan playing Scorn. And Holger, an uprising WTC player. Mm-hmm. So, the thoughts here were quite easy. I want to dodge Scorn for sure, and then I will get a 50-50 at least. Dome will kill whatever he can get. Like he will win against Tricks. He will win the Scorn Mirror as he's way more experienced Scorn player, but kind of starting role dependent maybe. And he will rape Grimkin, so he wouldn't be the dodge pair. And Wolfgang would have some match against Grimkin, as they didn't have any Old Witch. He would have chance against Scorn also, like 50-50 plus with Gary against Zaal, because I think Brandon wasn't even playing Rushet or some janky Rushet list.
He was, but janky list with a Hydra in it.
Yeah, something like where Gary can say, this Hydra will disappear now. And so in the end, from the pairing perspective, we ended up with, so we paired me first, and they paired Grimkin, and Grimkin took Dominic, so easy win for us there. I had the Scar, and it was this situation which I mentioned before, that with King of the Hill, Krueger doesn't like the stretch, but Scar likes it. And in the mid, Wolfgang was playing against Scorn.
Okay. So Dom, let's start with you. Tell us about your first game. Is this a game that we want to focus in on, or is this one where you're sort of just going to recap a little bit?
I think it's really just a recap. I played with
all right, so run us through.
Zaal 2 versus the Wanderer with Grimkin and some horses. And basically, you just push Zaal 2 up front the table. At some point, you feed, you kill horses with Immortals, and that's it. So
you don't think the Wanderer bump has any game into Zaal 2 at all? Just can't crack the armor, can't stay in scenario.
So my Zaal 2 list is a bit different to others. I played 2 Void Archons in it.
Okay.
Which are very good at clearing all the madcaps. And
what do you lose for that?
I lose half a unit, I lose Abidan, and I lose the Arc Node. Basically, that's it.
Okay. So you have no Arc Nodes in the list?
I don't have.
Okay.
But it fits my playstyle. Sure,
that's fine. That's cool.
And together with this piece removal and just pushing up everything to the table, and in the feed, even armor piercing horses do nothing. I think it's just a good matchup, and I could just play it straightforward.
Okay, so and it played no surprises, no nice little tricks. Everything played out as expected. Cool. All right. And Christoph, how was your game? A bit different, I guess.
Yeah. So maybe I just a quick thing about Wolfgang's game. So Wolfgang's game should be something like 50-50 plus if he is experienced into it, and he never played against Zaal before. And so I think he made some wrong decisions about commitment and going in. And so he lost his game. And this brings us into the really, really tough position directly into the first round that I had to win my game for sure. And
right. So you knew already that you were 1-1.
Yeah, like I was around 2-3 and I looked at Wolfgang and it didn't look so well in his face. Right. And I was like, but I also had the biggest... their biggest player on my upper side. So the thing is, I have to stretch hard my forces to compete against the Scar on King of the Hill. And I'm quite unlucky in sniping the Stalkers. And if you played the matchups more often, you know, it's really focused on how the sentries are sniping into the Stalkers. If you can catch their movement or their cortex, it's really nice for you. Like then they break really fast, especially if the first sentry spikes out the movement and the second man can, most of the time, if you can get them in maximum 2 sentry mankins, then it's really good. But if it's the opposite and the Stalkers survive in a good way, it's really a hard matchup. And here I noticed what change Hermit brings into the matchup, as the Scar player can now say, oh, you luckily hit one of my Stalkers, I will Hermited it. So yeah, I was unlucky in sniping and I had to stretch and I clearly lost the attrition. And with the attrition, I clearly lost also the scenario because my
what did he kill on his feet turn? Approximately,
like 3 heavies.
Ouch!
Yeah.
Okay, big
and
feet.
I have a World Guardian in my list. I'm like, but it is the theme force with the Satix Raiders, so the Stalkers can hit quite hard with flank and also with the Hermit buff, and most of them were fully active, and I had to tank some stuff. Yeah, because you're just in the position where you have to pretend losing on scenario, and but so I'm in the tough position. I lost attrition. I lost with the attrition. I lost the scenario, but I'm a Krueger player, and a good Krueger player knows how to save his own ass. And I figure it out somehow how I can reach the Scar, but there was included that I roll a really lucky gallows on her. And
what did you need? Do you remember?
6.
Oh.
So.
Oh, you needed a 6-inch gallows.
So it's 16% assassination.
Well, maximum.
But if I hit, the Scar is in front of Megalith with back arc.
Yeah, so first of all, you need to hit it, then you need it to go 6 inches.
First of all, I have to hit a boosted telekinase to turn the Scar.
What was the boost? What was the number on the boosted hit?
She's defense 16, right? I'm 7 with Krueger. It's a 9. Boosted 9. Then the Megalith has to hit the boosted 7.
Right.
And then I have to grab him.
And you need the 6. Okay, so bit of a dicey one, but
this was one of the games where the Scar would have won if she would killbox herself, just run away.
Okay,
but I wasn't proud of the game, but in the end, it saved our ass that this happened, and also.
Better be lucky than good.
It was by far the closest round for us, way closer than the finals.
Round 1, better be lucky than good. I'll take it. Yeah, sounds good from Dom. All right, so we move into round 2 then, and give me that little sort of summary that you gave me last time about what the situation was.
So round 2, Dome, if you want to step in, you just shout, right?
Yeah.
Round 2, we are facing another really good team with really famous German players, Greif, Kriegsnoob, and the Infernal player mentioned Jojo before. So Jojo is an uprising WTC player. He was last year one of our possible substitutes and played the Solo Masters, but I guess this year he will play the tournament itself. Janosch Kriegsnoob is one of our oldest MK1 veterans, still playing the game and really good, being a really good player. And Greif, a strong man of player from last year WTC Team 2. So a really nice and strong team. Mm-hmm. And we had again the case with Greif playing Manov that we have a dodge here. And now the mental game started because we knew, I read Kriegsnoob because he was at my first WTC my captain, and I like he had a clue about how I am, especially as a Krueger player, and how I like to be paired. And so I knew that he would guess that we would drop me first. So for me, dodging Manov. Yeah, and so we figured this out. And if we put Wolfgang first with his retribution, he would get like Manov and Infernals or Mercs. Mercs were played by Kriegsnoob, Osrum, and Infernals, Omodamos, and Zataruf, I think. So the plan was to win the mind game. Wolfgang will drop out the Manov for us. So we have Retribution of Sky against Manov, and then I can play rather Osrum or Infernals. And here I'm in a comfortable situation that I practiced a lot Infernals in Krakow with Tomasz. And after playing with Tomasz, there aren't any better Infernal players, so it can just be better.
Ooh, Mark's ego's just shrinking back down again. Oh, I can hear it. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, it was intended to make this effect.
Just deflate it a little bit.
And against Osrum, I recently played it in the Polish finals. So no matter what, I'm in a comfortable situation. Dome was like, yeah, I will just beat whatever you give me. And then still Wolfgang has a nice game into Manov with his series.
Okay, and so how did it end out?
I played versus Mercs. So he had a Damiano with like 50 dudes. And then and Osrum with one of the toilets and 2 full units and 7 bunnies.
Okay.
I knew that Rashid is a good choice into both of them. So I just dropped Rashid without thinking what he would play, and Janosch knows that I would just drop Rashid into it. I think the matchup didn't change too much in the last 2 years, more or less, basically, or even last 3 years. And so I knew that if I just feed and take out his toilets, that I'm ahead in the game.
Fair enough. And is this one? And are we spending a bit of time on this one, or is this a recap?
No,
game?
It's just a recap game. It's also on video, so anybody who wants to watch it, it will be uploaded by some time. Basically, I won the starting role, which is good. Pops me a bit in the match. I went forward. He offered me as a turtle if I trade my feet for it, which I did. So I took out his battle engine turn 2, and from then I just played it downwards.
Okay.
Osrum.
Fair enough.
Wolfgang's game was like, he was playing on King of the Hill, and Assyria likes to stretch and Cyrenia doesn't, and so Cyrenia had to play the bright game, and it didn't went out too well for her. So we were good there. I was grinding like really 2 hours a fair game against Infernals. I didn't run into any gotcha movements. Omodamos. Okay. I just played, the circle game, and especially the Krueger play, picking something out, maximize your damage and minimize damage incoming. And yeah, I managed quite well to do the grind. And after 7 rounds, I had like 2 CPs more. And even if he goes even with me, I win on OP because I killed so much stuff.
How was his... that's always the case against Infernals, isn't it? I mean, you're never going to lose the tie breaks against Infernals.
Yeah, exactly.
But how was the Omodamos feet turn?
Omodamos feet turn, not so much of an impact because I got some. He was playing the 40mm base infantry. Tomasz will know the name. The Berserkers.
Howlers.
Yeah, exactly. So he fed for to crush somehow into my forces with this Howlers, but there wasn't any big turn in the game. It was just Krueger fed for to gain somehow positioning advantage, but not so much for scenario points. Then he fed to get somehow back into the game, and the grind was just really heavy. And then I clearly knew from all the discussions with Tomasz how important counter charges. So I ensured to not run into any counter charge, and it was just really grind heavy game without any big gotchas. So
okay.
As you can see that I don't remember so much from the feed turn from Omadamus, it wasn't that quite of impacting.
No, that's fine. I was just interested because I see mainly Zataroth, so I'm always interested to hear about Omadamus, and I always think your feet turn is often the defining turn, so I thought I'd ask. But as you say, if it's not super impactful, then it's not, and that's cool. So we move into round 3, and did we say that round 3 was also on the Saturday, or was that played on the Sunday?
It was Saturday evening.
Okay, so the Saturday evening game.
Our easiest round up to that point.
Okay.
So no offense to anybody, but it was the easiest one.
Interesting. And why was that? Did you get good matchups, or were they just they got a bit lucky getting through to round 3? Or
both, probably both. They played Krix, Crucible Guard, and Kador.
Krix, Crucible, Kador. Okay.
Yeah. So we paired up Christopher
into Silvestro.
Into Crucible Guard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We played Gary into Butcher 3.
Okay.
And Zaal 2 into Danny. My game is not worth too much.
Okay, so Zaal into Denny, you go up, feet, he can't break it, you crush him.
Yeah, I just run down and push on scenario, I feed, I stack my souls on the Guardians. And
because I was playing on the most left table and Dominic on the right table, and I couldn't see the table state, but I just saw 2 Supreme Guardians moving forward after 10 minutes, moving more forward after 10 minutes, being in the advanced deployment of the Scar player. So, it was quite funny to see.
Oh, you'd be fucked.
Yeah, he played the Shooty Danny list, and Void Archons also helped sniping key pieces out of it.
Right, you got into his back lines a bit.
Yeah,
what made you put in the Void Archons? I mean, I realised they probably weren't there to deal with Denny, were they?
Harvey,
so what were they? They're there for Harvey? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's playable against Harvey even without. So you have probably a 50 minus, a 45er, if you're talking percentages, but with 2 Void Archons in it, pops up.
When you say, what do you think it goes up to? 55, 60?
Depends on the Harvey list, of course.
Okay. Like 4 Crusaders?
4 Crusaders was never a problem in the past, so.
Okay, that one's fine.
Yeah, but I think it goes up to 60-ish.
Okay, cool.
So the problem is the Judicator version, right?
Yeah.
Like always.
I don't know. The Crusader version's been tickling around a little bit recently, so you never know.
The question is, can 2 Void Archons even bully off the Menot player in playing Harvey? So he drops back to his second list, and then you can play. So
right.
I think you always have a game into Harvey, even with the Judicator version. So.
Fair enough. All right, so we get a fairly, as you say, uneventful round 3, straight through, no problem. Christoph, how was your game?
Yeah, so this was the only game I really lost on this weekend. So what was the case? I lost the game on the Krueger scenario. It was bunkers. The problem was that I was playing against Silvestro, and if Silvestro won the starting role, and then I had a Vulcan in the mid of the table. And the problem is, bunkers is a nice Krueger scenario, but if Silvestro has the table, then it's not that easy to come back into the game, because it will happen that you have to take some shots. The major mistake I make in the game is that I forget in the first round to drop out my Blackclad Wayfarer out of the well. And this costs 2 things. First of all, he can go with the Vulcan in front of my forces 11.1 inches instead of 13.1 inches. And if you are talking about 2 inches in the center of the table, it's quite big of an impact. And the second thing was that he could, with this mistake, position more aggressively. And also, in my second turn as a second player, my blacklet wouldn't even be able to contest his zone. And he was blocking his zone. He was playing it quite well with all the huge bases centric. So I don't have any opportunity to contest him after in the second turn. So yeah, little mistake with a huge impact, and then I had to feed, and we are scoring both one, as he's also contesting with the huge bases, everything, and then I have to face tank, but I decide to start playing really concentrated, and I come back to the attrition. And we come to the point where I have still a heavy and some stuff left, and he has none of his huge bases, no Vulcan, no Redis interceptors. But then I make one greedy mistake. I know that I'm, that he's ahead in scenario, and then I want to spray down with a mannequin, a trancer, and I know that the trancer will explode and blast the mannequin to death, and the mannequin has to contest one of the flags. And so I put the mannequin 4-inch of the flag and 4-inch of the trancer, and then I miss the trancer and I get poltergeist back.
Oh.
So instead of going even, and he needs 5 points to win, and this is not possible because my objective is already dead, we are going here. He's scoring also one unexpected point in my turn because of this mistake, and then he just needs 4 to win, and with 3 transfers alive and Silvestro active and some halberdiers, and mainly because of the slams, he can win it. Yeah, and at this point, the team already won because Wolfgang killed the Butcher 3 really fast. But yeah, it was uncool mistake from my side. But I still say that the major mistake, if we talk about gaming approach and gamer mindset, my main mistake was the fucking blacklet. This was the easy thing to remember. And all of this, what I just explained, happened because of this one tiny mistake. Of course, in the end, I forgot about the poltergeist, but forgetting the blacklet bring me into the situation to forget the poltergeist.
Yeah, it's like a snowball effect, isn't it? Those little mistakes earlier, like, Robin forgot to took his caster to a tournament. That's obviously a little bit of a problem. Then he had to borrow a war caster, and of course all the shame that comes with that. And then you go into the table with that sort of shame, and it leads you to the final table where you lose by 2 seconds. And I think it's largely because of the shame. So,
which Robin are you talking about?
This would be the Swedish Robin Anderson, who recently lost a local tournament, so I'd like to shout out for his loss.
And I just want to give the credits to Morgan for winning the tournament.
I was just about to say he lost it to a fine friend, Morgan Ackerson, who we keep, he keeps coming second, and we're just so glad that he won something. And it's even funnier that he did so because Robin failed to roll dice fast enough to kill, wait for it, an objective.
Nice.
How the fuck do you not kill an objective?
And power 10 shots.
No, he was in melee with it with Butcher 4 or something.
Okay, that's okay.
He just his argument was that he was tired and drunk and couldn't roll the dice fast enough, or he couldn't do the maths fast enough. But I like to give him shit for it, and we have a pedestal to do just that here. So. Right, unfortunately, guys, I have to stream very shortly, so I have to leave to go and make dinner. So I will leave the last 2 battle reports with yourselves and Tomáš. But it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Dominic, very nice to meet you. And Christoph, hope we will speak again soon. Tomáš, as always, an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Quick shout out for my Twitch stream, which I'll be doing in an hour, which is twitch.tv/HonestSci. I stream every Monday to Thursday from 8 till 12 European time in the evenings. Do all sorts of computer gaming stuff. There's a Discord channel. There's all sorts. The links will be below, and it'd be an absolute pleasure to see any of you there. Have a great evening, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the episode. Take care.
All right, guys, tell me something about the Saturday night. Did you analyze the winning team's list and do some strategy, or you went for drinks and relax? How was it?
We didn't take too much care about the game. about the tournament. I think what was really nice is that the venue stayed open until midnight, roughly, and everybody, or most of the players stayed. So I think that's really rare. On a lot of tournaments, people tend to go here and there in small groups, but most of the people stayed, and we just had awesome conversations.
Drinking some beers, playing some beer machine.
Yeah, just straight over the street there was a club with some electro music or whatever, and people just popped in every now and then and were like, "Whoa, what the fuck are you doing here?" Yeah, it was just awesome conversation and meeting good people Saturday evening.
All right, and how was the Sunday morning?
I think we started at 9:30, which is a very easygoing time. Even if you go to bed at like 2-3 a.m., you get 5 to 6 hours of sleep. So I felt like everybody was pretty relaxed, pretty going. The organizers had so much time in their schedule, they even waited for one or two teams popping in like 5 to 10 minutes late. And because it was also relaxed, nobody really cared about these 5 minutes. Nobody was hammering on the time. And we had a nice introduction Sunday morning. I think they also offered some cake and drinks and great coffee. They had like great fresh ground coffee.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, that's really, really good. I mean, for some people, coffee makes or breaks a tournament. For me, it doesn't. But yeah, so for me personally, it was just a relaxed Sunday morning.
So what are the 4 teams that are left in the winning bracket?
So there were just 3 teams left because we are not 32 teams initially. Right. The teams left were the team of Robin the Kid.
Robin Maukisch.
Robin Maukisch, of Dr. Meisel, Dr. Kellerman, and Micha, which was one of the
German WTC
go-to
players.
guys for the title. We were left, and a team from Berlin was left.
All right.
Nox team.
Played Nox team, basically. And so it was clear one gets a down pair.
All right, so who was the pair down?
Pair down was Robin's team got a pair down against our round 3 opponents.
Yeah, the Crucible guys.
Exactly. So we were pretty keen that there will be a 5th round. So Robin's team won the pair down. Pretty clear. And we played against the Berlin guys. They had a Signa player with a nasty Archon Striker 1 list. I can't even recall the second list because that one was the one scaring the shit out of me.
All right.
He was playing Galleon, 2 Theramedes, 2 Merwin Archons, and Precursion Knights with stuff.
All right. And do you guys have any experience into the new Flame stuff?
I don't. That's my problem.
I had some experience from Poland, and my call was I beat him, and I really wanted, if I had to play him, but as we were in the WTC team previously, and he swapped from Legion to Signar, and I swapped from Signar to Circle, I always told him how bad Signar into Circle is, and that I don't respect any Signar player, and my call and my team previous WTC was that I will win against every Signar player they will give me, no matter what, if it's Patrick Dunford, Tomasz Musza, or...
That was pretty close.
Yeah, true. But that's what I'm telling you, it was before all the Flames buff, and actually with the new stuff, it was quite of an intense game.
All right.
And they had a Scorn player having the same exact list as I did. Every single piece was the same.
All right.
And they had a Trollblood player playing Kalandra with Double Bomber and Pick Tanks and whatever, and a Doomshaper 3, which was kind of like the Canadian list from WTC tagged against Gary 2.
All right, and what were your thoughts about those trolls? Were you afraid of them? Do you know them well or not?
So I started the game with trolls, so I know what they can do.
Right.
They're not in the best spot in the meta, but if you can find a tag that works against the list really good, I think they can execute it. Because nobody really cares about Trollbloods. They are so under the radar that even if a janky list comes up, nobody will put in the time to find out that exact matchup.
Yeah. The funny thing about after Polish Team Championships, one of the troll players said that people knew more about Infernos than about trolls. No one cares about them.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, tell me about your thoughts on Trollbloods, Chris. Were you afraid of them? Were you worried that you don't know the stuff, or you know the stuff well? How was it for you?
In general, I know what's going on, but I have to say this is related to me playing previously Signar, and especially when Kolgrima appeared, Trollbots were a really tough matchup for Signar. Also Dome crushed me at some tournaments and boot games with Trolls. So, and also because one of my best friends was playing Trollbots at one WTC, I know the stuff. And I know everything, and I'm playing Circle, so no fear there. Unfortunately, I would love to say something else, but no respect for Trolls.
Fair enough. So tell me something about the matchup process.
So again, Circle wanted to dodge Scorn. And all the other metrics looked more or less good. We knew that we have to convert only 2 of the games. We can fail against 1, of course, as always. So if we get Christopher to dodge Scorn, he would probably pull out a good one, which is 1 in the bench. And no matter how the matrix looks, what they pair up, we will get a second good one.
Yeah.
So that was basically our input. We paired up Circle, and they paired up Trollblood. And they agreed that no matter what happens, I will get my win. And so the Trollblood player pulled out me to get Scorn against Retribution in the middle, play Zaal 2 into Gary 2, and we played Circle into...
Oh, I thought that the Trollblood list was supposed to take out Gary?
Yeah, I would have imagined it as well, but I think they claimed themselves more chances when putting their weakest player into me and just outplaying.
Oh, all right. So fish out the strongest player, and then maybe we'll win the other ones.
Yeah.
So how was your game, Dominic?
My game was pretty straightforward, I guess. We played Zaal 2 into Kalandra. I pushed into the scenario. He couldn't kill the big guardians. At some point, I made a kind of stupid mistake. I left Zaal 2 in the cloud and not behind the cloud, sitting on 4 transfers. And he had 4 bomber shots and I think 1 tank shot on Zaal 2 in Kalandra feet. So, but even if the dice explode super heavily, I have 4 beasts to transfer onto. I just played it down straightforward, pushing on scenario, and I think he clocked himself in the end.
All right. And anything you took from this game?
Yeah, stay behind the cloud if you don't have to go in front of it. I think even the take-home message from the game is don't get too confident, even if you're in a really good matchup. If you have it in the bag, just put your caster 5 inches behind or even just run.
Yeah. All right. And you, Christoph? How was your game?
And maybe to accentuate it, we are in the same situation as in round 1. Dome has a green one. Wolfgang has a yellow one, again with Retribution against Scorn. And I have somehow green, maybe more yellow, I would say now. So what's nice to say about Wolfgang's game is that after the first round, and it was such a close round for us in total, we discussed, especially with Dome, where Dome taught Wolfgang and how to play the matchup. And in this matchup, Wolfgang converted every advice we gave to him and totally crushed the Scorn player. So we already have 2 wins, and but my game goes to the honor, And we are grinding really hard, and there are some 50-50s, coin flips going on in the game where I have the momentum and they go to my side. One important move was that I had Striker's feet turn we were playing Reckon 2, by the way, and the Morrowind Archon was contesting my flag with Anchor and Armor 28. So, right. And the problem is I was the starting guy, and he, in his second turn, so second round, second player, Striker Fett, used the Anchor on the Morrowind Archon and scored one of the rectangular zone with his own flag. Like he scored his own flag in the rectangular zone. And because of the deployment, the Galleon was there. I was, conceding on this side already because I knew that I won't win the attrition going in front of the galleon. So he's leading with 2 points. Actually, it's 3 points because he also destroyed my objective. And if I don't score at least 1 point now, he can just win with his own zone and contesting. So I really need to ensure that I score 1 point, and the direct way, and because he's also contesting the rectangular zone, is to kill this Archon. One mistake Nox made, he didn't ensure that Striker is not pushable, and so I could just, with a nice Krueger feat, push out Striker. So the Archon wouldn't be in the feat anymore, because that's one of the biggest weaknesses of this new list. It's missing a squire, and so the control range of Striker is only 12 inch. And with the Krueger feat, it's manageable to just push the Striker out. Yeah, and so I did. And the Morrowind Archon died then with Undergrowth, Animus, and Megalith and stuff there. And then one of the other coin flips happened that a Warden killed one of the Tyramid Archons. And so I could score also my zone. And then I was just missing, he was leading only 1 point. And then the grind happens, and really, really close game. No big gotchas happening, just, we were really, except of the team results, both of us wanted to win, and we were grinding hard, but in the end I am leading, I think after round 7, I have 7 seconds left, and then I'm leading like 2 points, and he could roll an assassination on the full fury loaded Krueger, and then kill me with overloading. Like, if he hits the tens with a galleon and then boosts the damage, and I transfer it to my beast, I had still 3 beasts left. But if he kills the beast with it, and then the feedback damage is killing Krueger, this would be some opportunity, but he didn't even drag Krueger. So, in the end. Tough matchup, I would say. Like, not tough, it's 50-50 somehow. Like, it's really skill dependent, and I was really surprised how the buffs impact Signa. Like, I would consider them now as something, and they left the Trollbloods alone in the under bracket.
All right, so what we are saying, that there's hope for Signal players versus Krueger too.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. And so we arrive at the finals. How long was your break between the rounds?
Lunch break.
1.5, 2 hours.
All right, so we had a lot of time to discuss your matchups, a lot of time to discuss how do you want to approach the game. I assume that Robin's team won their game.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me about the discussion before the game, and then about the matchup process.
So basically their lists, where Robin played minions with Rask, with all the Russian Brine, Wrong-Eye Snapshot, Restless Power, whatever, all the Lessers and Void Archons, and he played the Malok, which with 20, 30, whatever, Gatorman, I don't know. But he never played it, so I don't think he would pick it. Sasha played the janky Fiona list in Mercs, and came through with the double blockader.
And what was janky about the Fiona list?
He has some counter charge, so he played like Brune and Luke, for example.
All right, so it's all about the Befuddle counter charge.
Yeah, Befuddle counter charge, a small unit of Kayazi assassins and bits and pieces here and there. Which, if
I have the list open.
If you're not known into the list, I think it's
Double Tail and Toro, Alexia, Anastasia, Bron and Luke, Harlow, Hold'em High, Hermit, Kale Baylor, Rackman, Thor Steinhammer with the Godson Driller, Pros Cutthroats, and Kayazi Assistants. Stuff you need 1 hour to check in Raw Room, because so many cards.
Yeah, so I would say it's pretty standard irregulars Fiona, but Brun and Lug and Cross Cutthroats are things that I haven't seen before, so that's interesting. All right. And the third list? The third person
was
list?
Scorn, and he played Rashid list.
All right.
With lots of lights, but not in Winds of Death, but in the minion team force.
Disciples of Agony, yeah?
Yeah, so he can pencil in a Void Archon and some Shield Guards and Paingiver Taskmasters, etc., etc.
This list hits pretty hard, right?
Yeah, it does. And the other list of him was Modica with a lot of... so I think there were some Ferox in it, some Swordsmen, a Supreme Guardian, so all about reviving, takedowning other models, and just playing long grinds. And so we figured out Circle wants to dodge Scorn again, of course. I was like, I have a 50-50 into everything, so it's no big deal to put me up. And then we had minions with our Retribution, which is not good, into Rask, but probably has a 50-50 into the other two.
Yeah, maybe it would be 50-50 into Rask with Assyria, but he was also lacking of knowledge. And he's a Merc player, and so we were like, okay, maybe it's better to get him into Mercs because he knows he's a Fiona player, he knows what Fiona does, and get him into Scorn because he was playing this 2 times.
Yeah, and now here comes the pairing process or the tournament style into our matchup process, because we got to pair up on a slow scenario and they got to pair up on a fast scenario, which kind of fucks up our metrics, because we have 2 shooty lists which are good against the others on slow scenarios, but we have a Circle who we want to pair up, which is good on a fast scenario.
All right. So I see it's a tough spot for Circle, but I presume you started with Circle anyway.
Yeah.
And who did they started with? How did it play out?
They put up minions on bunkers.
All right.
Just make quick Rask scenario play against Scorn or Gary 2, basically.
So how did you react to that?
So yeah, we got, so I could choose between Scorn and Mercs. And for the audience, Tomasz and me were Skyping before the round because I was asking him what should I pick against what. And so, of course, I picked Mercs because Scorn was not possible to do. And we ended up then with Mercs, Circle, Scorn, Red again in the mid, and Rask against Scorn. Yeah, and the thing was that I played once against Fiona, and I was really not confident playing into her. I lack of knowledge of Merc things, and I am scared of Befuddle, and I know what kind of opponent I am facing. He's this kind of opponent who will see everything, see every fail of me and take advantage of it. And so I was really thinking, like, Jesus Christ, can I play Chromac? Will just protect me of all this Befuddle fucking stuff. But the scenario is King of the Hill. So I am thinking, Krueger is my A-list, and in the but I'm not confident into Fiona. And then I'm asking Dominic, and we are saying like, okay, let's do put the balls on the table and take Chromac. And we think the Kane 3 double colossal list is just to scare me, and he will play Fiona, and then I have a good matchup. Yeah, but Sasha surprised and took Kane 3. So we were playing Chromac against Kane 3, and I was again in the situation that I really wanted to win, because on Friday evening I was saying to, as I personally hate double colossal lists, I was saying to Sasha that, oh boy, your double colossal list is a shame for your skill of playing. So it turned out on Friday I had a big mouth, and on Sunday finals I was playing against really this double colossal list. And we have on stream, so everything what would happen would be there in the internet forever. But
a bit
I'm
of a pressure there.
A little bit. Finals, no, just a little bit. I'm 2 meters tall. It's just 180 pressure.
Let's just add to this. We made it as a team call because we knew we are a bit behind. Because usually I played against minions, and due to the fast scenario, I know that I'm a bit down. And in the middle, we had a 50-50. So we went for the janky call okay, let's just go for a risk. We are not losing the match if we're putting Chromic, but we're getting a high reward if we can pull the Fiona into Chromic. And that will push us ahead. That was like a team decision. It was not rewarded, but it was a team call.
I mean, it kind of was rewarded, right? Because you won the tournament.
Yeah, but not at this stage, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So I will explain my game. So to all the points I mentioned, Sasha is winning the starting role, and so he's running up the board. And then I am going a little bit forward, just not being 15 inches to the blockaders. And so he's repositioning again, so not at my charge ranges, and defending the scenario. I am really unlucky on the left rectangular zone because I have one Voltwirt left who can aim and shoot stuff, and if I kill the objective in the end, I will just warp into the rectangular zone, scoring 2 points. Then I'm 2 points ahead, and that's quite important because the other one blockader is in the mid. The game is highly recommended to watch if you hate double colossals on YouTube. But one blockader is in the mid, and the other one is more on the right side. So left rectangular zone, hold it by ace, is quite important. My dice suck dick. They are really bad. My dice are really bad. So I don't score any point. And face tanking begins. I have Gitorix safe, but my Guardians are contesting the flag in the mid and contesting the circular zone. And the blockader thinks, I like to shoot on Guardians. So his Archon is flying there, and I'm face tanking. Somehow, I have one Guardian is gone, one survives somehow, and one is still intact, and Gitorix was safe. Because also with hyper-aggressive, I managed to walk somehow hyper-aggressing that his spray angles would fuck up. Was a huge fuck up to just measure everything because we had the 3D printed.
All right.
So the Guardian survived, and the other blockader is charging my objective, and there was not even something to contest because I can't even put sentry stones there because he will just spray them, and I know that I need to get them to late game. So this situation is blockader 1 is in the mid, spraying on my heavies. Right blockader is by far outside of Kane's control, but scored 2 points, 1 objective, and the rectangular zone. And on the left side, there's nothing, but I'm also not scoring there, so he's just scoring 2-0. From threat range perspective, I also struggle to trigger Warpath in the army because he just has not many targets to trigger Warpath. I am just managing to send one Guardian into one blockader, and he's taking like 30 boxes or something. So again, the face thing, the Gitorix is running to the other zone because the blockader is not in Kane's control range. So he won't ever get focus, and with inviolable resolve and just with 14 defense and viable resolve on and hyper regeneration, he will never kill it without focus.
All right. So you didn't even need the spiny growth.
I need to run because I was.
What I'm saying.
So and then the second round of face tanking starts, and the blockader is killing another Guardian, and Kane is shooting into my army. And I am remaining 1 Guardian and Gitorix, and of course a Voltwirt. Valkyries are also dead. Attrition-wise, it doesn't look that good for me. I was really looking to the other tables. Meanwhile, the tanking goes on. So attrition looks bad. But then the whole game changes with one action. One of the remaining Guardians kills the blockader, and the other I managed to score also the zone, which I didn't manage to score before. And Gitorix is now with spiny growth unpushable in the zone with the other blockader. And the blockader is still not in control range of Kane. And there's no fucking way how this blockader can even just make some damage to get Rix. He's hitting on 9, and then he's -3, I guess. And I'm healing. He doesn't have any focus. It's really, really bad method. And this is where it comes to the point that double Colossal is just really bad on King of the Hill or on white scenarios. One blockader is gone. The other is still intact, but because of the whiteness of the scenario, he has no effect. So with killing this one blockader with my last heavy, there's remaining Kane, I think still Ace, and the other blockader. Yeah, and Kane is shooting somehow in my army, but then Sasha realizes that also from clock perspective, he won't come back into the game, and then he surrenders.
All right.
So I was tanking, and at some point the blockader was falling.
Yeah, but he only surrendered because we were up 2-0 at this point. Otherwise, I think he would still try to fish for a caster kill or what else.
Yeah, but Chromic was at this point. Chromic was with 4 Fury in the forest where he couldn't see in because of 3 inches.
Yeah, I think what Dominic is trying to say is that he would fight till the end if there was something to fight for.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And so how was your game, Dominic?
I played into Rask on the fastest scenario, which is never that good. So I considered to pick Rashid, which you can usually play if you get a slower scenario, and then you can just outsit even the feed turn. Because even if Rask begins, he pushes up the board, and you can probably kill heavy with both Turtles and the Thunder Spirit, turn 1. If he's too aggressive. If not, he doesn't get that much board. You can just contest and then retaliate heavily. But the scenario was a bit too fast for my taste. So I picked Zaal 2. I don't know if it's a good choice. Turns out that he even wins the starting role, pushes in. No, I win the starting role. I choose to be second to not lose on turn 2.
Yeah.
I push into the board, do not pop my feet in round 1. Or he starts, he pops up. I don't feed to turn 1 because I try to stay a bit back. So he can take like 4 immortals, which is worth nothing.
Yeah.
Which I can easily bring back. And then he pushes into the scenario a bit, but stays out of threat. I have to go in round 2 and in round 3. But because I was so cautious in round 1, I can't get that much board in round 2. So he can start playing a yo-yo game with the Rosh and Brine and the Archons and everything.
All right.
And Boomhauler giving reposition 3. All this nasty stuff. So he kills a lot of models, pops Rask feet, and I think he is where I realize I'm basically done in this game. I will never win this if he plays it properly, but he got too greedy. He kept Rask pretty close to the front, and to shoot a stationary shot at one of my lights to kill it easier with the pick going in, to not miss 1 or 2 attacks and be stuck. And therefore he spends all his camp on Rask, and so an empty Rask sits, I would guess, 11, 10 inches from my front line, with nobody able to reach or charge him directly. But the Rask is empty there, and turns out he puts 2 heavies in front of him. One is Swamp Horror, which I will likely never kill that round, and the other one is Snapjaw. And Snapjaw is base-to-base with Rask, but submerges, so he doesn't block line of sight.
Yeah.
Which was Robin's biggest mistake. And so I see in my turn that with Vengeance, I can get 2 Immortals into Rask, base-to-base with Snapjaw, and 1 Immortal blocking the admonition from another heavy to not block any lanes. And I can get 1 Void Archon Spray and 2 blasts from the Supreme Guardians, a Fire Roll, and a boosted Annihilation from Zaal 2. And I figure out it's my only chance in winning this game, so I go in with the Immortals, take boosted 8. I think Rask is 15, and I'm 7 in Haka.
Yep.
Under Starcrossed, I hit 1, and I do Dice Straight, which is like I roll 12 damage or so. And then I just needed a Void Archon Spray over one of my own models to catch Rask in it to seal the deal. Otherwise, if Robin would have not put Rask too aggressively forward without any camp, I think I'm just losing the game at this point. But yeah, the assassination was the only way to win it, and I took it.
Yeah, I mean, you spotted a good assassination, you went for it, and it worked. So, good job. And how was Wolfgang's game?
Wolfgang is in this tournament the evolution of Scored Slayer. So we start in round 1, where he never played Zaal 2 before, and he loses. Then he gets advices and crushes the next Zaal 2. And now, probably the best by far in comparison to the other Scorn players is coming in the finals. And they are playing Rashid against Gareth. And also, Gareth is not the main list of Wolfgang usually. Usually he's more of an Iseria player. I can't tell the full game, but I think the summary is they are trading somehow even. So Rashid wishes away one of the tridents, and then one turtle goes, and it comes to a really close grind in the end, where both players were saying to me that the winning factor for Wolfgang was that Gareth does way more late game business than Rashid does. So
it's a bigger gun.
yeah. So it's a close grind. I myself will watch it on stream also. It's a close grind, and in the end, Gareth is just the late game businessman.
I think they were at the point where they traded both of the battle engines, but Gary had a force generator left, and Gary and the Rashid player had like 3 lights left, which are unlikely to finish off the carapace generator.
Yeah.
So he took off 1 light each round, chopped away the army very slowly, and then sealed the deal in round 6 or 7 via scenario.
Nice. So you finished the finals 3-0 and you win the BTC. So congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
So what did you win?
So
there was a huge prize pool to pick from.
Right.
If you're honest and you're a long year tournament player, you don't really need a lot of this. So Christoph won a Slaughter Fleet box from Quicks, like with the gorges and everything else in it. I won a second Mammoth, which I gave to a friend playing Scorn.
Nice.
And Wolfgang, I don't even know what he picked.
One Colossal.
Yeah, one like
Axiom.
Prime Conflux, I think it was.
Yeah.
So, but they also had like limited edition rule books, like these book standees.
All right.
And so they had a great prize pool to pick from. They had limited edition models. They had like 4 Colossals. Last place got 3 Scorn starter boxes.
All right. So is it a joke to give 3 Scorn battle boxes in a meta with 9 Scorns?
Kind of. It's like with this faction, everybody can do it. It's just buy another turtle. But it's not like this in reality. I think you can, with Scorn, and especially the turtles, you can get easily to a good level, but to get to top level is probably as hard as with any other faction.
Oh, yeah.
It's more of like a running gag in Germany.
I
but
think
there were also other starter boxes. There were 2-player starter boxes, which we gifted to new metas to push the player bases. And
Nice. They should go to Germany and maybe get last place to get some Scorn starter boxes to bring back to my meta, because we have no Scorn. It's really not popular in
send
Poland.
everybody over, and I'm sure we can put up some Scorn models.
Awesome. All right, guys. Any final shout out? We are 2 hours into the episode, so we should probably wrap
I think we
it
should
up.
seal the deal. Thank you for having us. It was a nice.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
I think a nice chat. If anybody wants to pop over to German tournaments, just let us know. Via some channel, we'll get you some information, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and in future we will advertise big tournaments through Boosted Roles.
I'm more than happy to host you.
Awesome. So tell me, what's the next big tournament in Germany, so people can maybe look into calendar and plan for it?
So Doma.
Go ahead. I'm just opening the website. The next big thing is the Rheincon, which is starting on the 6th of March, going for 3 full days in Düsseldorf.
All right.
End of March, there's a big tournament in Munich. In the May, there's the 9th of May, Nordisch Masters in Bremen. One of the best tournaments I've been to ever.
Yeah, after
I
the
think
BTC.
there are 5 or 6 spots left, so if you want to go there, be quick.
All right. And any spots left in the Düsseldorf, 6th of March?
Yeah, plenty.
All right.
So it's a con style, so you are basically everybody's welcome. If there are more people than tournaments, you just open a new tournament. You have some team tournaments running on Friday and Saturday. You have an invitational on Sunday, like what you would expect from a big con.
Cool. I will look into it, and hopefully someone listening will look into it too. So thanks, guys, for coming to the show. It was a pleasure hosting you. It was a pleasure hearing your battle reports and getting insight on German meta. I hope the episode will help the European meta to grow. And thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for supporting the podcast. It's really motivating to get your help. And thanks, everyone, for listening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. You 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 bye.